Hey guys, I hope everybody's having a fantastic day. Whether you're watching this in the morning, in the afternoon, or in the evening, I'm glad you're here. I want to take just a quick second and thank all the channel members. Thank you all so much. I appreciate you more than you know. And I want to welcome anybody else who's just stopped by to see the video. I appreciate you. I'm glad you're here, and I hope you like what you see. If you do, all I ask is that you please hit that subscribe button and that bell notification icon. It'll help me out, and it'll also alert you when I release new content. Well, today I was going to do something a little different, and I couldn't title it my 10 favorite knives because it's hard to do that. I wrestled with that for a while, and what I do is I kind of look at knives as period pieces. So what I look at for right now, and some of them have stayed constant for 3-4 years. Some of them have moved up, some of them have moved back. But these are my 10 top knives, starting with number 10 currently. They're modern folders. They're all going to be modern folders, no slip joints, no fixed blades. But these are, in my collection, how I reach for them, maybe. I don't know if that sounds right, because I don't want to leave any that aren't on this list out. And there's unique rhyme and reason to why some of these make me feel the way they do, and why they're special to me. In this particular context, because this is not, and I don't want to go off on a ramble, but this is not how it makes me feel because of how I acquired it. This is not how it makes me feel because it's sentimental. This is just, how do I like the tool in my pocket as a cutting implement, as something that I know in my pocket I'm going to be happy having it there. And number 10 is the Renegade Provisions God of Mischief, or the GOM. The GOM is what I think is a super sexy knife manufactured by Riot with the bolster lock, M390 blade. It's a front flipper. It has a combination of DLC titanium and black micarta. The particular variation I've got is kind of a murdered out version. As murdered out as I guess you can get one. But I love the action of this knife. I love the way it carries in my pocket. I love the ergos. I'm surprised it's not higher than number 10 on this list. But again, I have kind of wrestled with it. Some of these knives are newer in the collection, and some of them have been around for some while. So what I did is I just kind of pondered over, if I had to pick 10 in that order right now, not forever, what would it be? And the God of Mischief, Renegade Provisions, made the list, coming in at number 10. Moving on, we come to an American-made knife. And I have several of these knives. I have some that are much more sentimentally valuable to me, some that are much more hardy, that are much bigger, that are much more expensive. But the one that I carry the most, that seems to have the utility that I like, being a Wharncliffe kind of guy, is the 3-inch Warney with the smooth titanium scale. This is the knife that is thin, it's easy to carry, it's got great action, it's light, but yet it's very hardy. It's got a 20 CV blade. It is a smaller knife, kind of this medium-sized knife, but it gives me a very full grip behind that flipper tab, and it gives me a choke-up grip that gives me no risk of running into that blade. This is the XM18 3-inch model, and this is in the Wharncliffe. So yeah, 3-inch Wharncliffe Hinderer Eclipse, or excuse me, Hinderer XM18 full tie, comes in at number 9 in my top 10, and it is going to be one of the USA made knives on this list, and it comes in right behind the Renegade Provisions at number 9. Moving on to number 8, we come to another US made knife, and probably my favorite, Spyderco. This is the Spyderco Manix 2. This is the Knife Center exclusive. that is in crew wear. It came from Spyderco and from Knife Center with the black G10 scale, black hardware. I changed out the scales for Rock Scale Designs graphite scales and changed the ball cage to a anodized purple. They were out of black at the time. But when I picked up these Rock Scale Designs, you guys have heard this story before, but the jimping that usually accommodates the Manix 2 that a lot of people really like. I'm more of an urban EDC jungle guy, so I didn't need the extra jimping. And one of the things that really drew my attention to the Rock Scale Design scales is they are linerless. They allowed me to put the liner back in my pocket. I coupled this with an MX Gear deep carry clip, made in Golden, Colorado, USA earth. Fantastic slicer, fantastic do anything knife. And guys, if I'm having to count from 10 backwards, this one's going to come in at number 8. And again, none of these are really fair numbers because they all rate that much higher. So that brings us to number 7. And I have wrestled and wrestled with these coming up, but number 7 is a knife that had been a grail and still is in my collection for the longest time. It is the Jaeger M. I watched probably 3 drops, maybe 4 drops of Jaeger M's come when I wasn't in the position or in a situation to where I could grab one. And I did not grab this one on the drop. I'll kind of look at this as knife fate. A buddy of mine who works at a knife store here in Athens, friend of Dark Gravities of mine, we bumped into him one Saturday when we were just looking at knives, and he works there, and he was showing us the Jaeger that he picked up. And I said, man, I hate that I missed out on it. And he said, well, I've got another one. I didn't know which one I was going to keep. If you're interested, I'll sell it to you. It's flipperless though, and that's kind of what I wanted all along. Even though I've heard the flippers are great, I'm a flipperless kind of guy. So long story short, we put a deal together on this. EDC Specialties, I think. I forget the exact dealer who had this exclusive pattern with the micarta and the black blade, but deep hollow grind blade, M390, made very, very well. The Jaeger M should really rate higher than number 8, but I've got such fire on this list, and I'm so blessed to have the knives in my collection that I do. I'm going to have to give this one the number 8 spot, and that is the Brian Brown Jaeger M. Love this knife, love this knife, love every one of the knives on this list. So that brings us, if I'm not mistaken, to number 7. And number 7 is kind of a surprise because it's my most recent EMP EDC purchase. It is the Nimble T2. I've always been a huge fan of EMP EDC. I could have their knives all up here. I could have the Nimble X, I could have the Nimble, I could have the Thick Boy, I could have the Relative, I could have the Ronin. But when I was looking through the collection, I was looking for something that represented what I feel like is the evolution of a brand and one of the best. That's not really accurate either because the Relative is so good. The Ronin is so good. But I've always been a Nimble guy. I always loved the size and the ergos. It's a medium or small medium sized knife. This Tanto I found to be very, very intriguing. I love this point right here for opening packages. I love the kind of understated, aggressive look that it has. Has a deep hollow grind here, and then it's got this compound flat up front. Just done amazingly well. I mean, the action on this knife, multiple deployments. You've got traditional flipper. You've got a front flipper. You've got a thumb flick if that's your gig. It's not my gig. And you've got a middle finger flick. And this knife is just fantastic. One thing I might have to do on this knife is look out and find me some kind of a unique clip for it. I love it. I love the honeycomb pattern. I love the size. And I'm a huge fan of the original OG Nimble. And I just think this improves on it in several different ways. I can't put my finger on what those ways are, I can tell you I love the satin blade with the hollow grind compared to the stonewash on the original Nimble. But it's just, I love this knife, guys. I love the little Tonto. And coming in at, I believe this is number 7, is, let's see, 10, 9, 8, 7, number 6. This is number 6, and it is the Nimble T. So moving on, we come to number 5. Comes from a very, what will we say, controversial maker, but I judge the knife on the knife. And I have several Medfords in my collection. They've always been a grail knife for me. They've always kind of stood for excellence in USA manufacturing. I don't agree with the, yeah, I'm just going to say I love the knife, right? And I can draw the distinction between the knife and the people who make the knife. But the reason the Slimity fills this spot is I've got a Midi Marauder, which is this same knife, but in the normal thickness. And I've got a Medford Infraction, which is a little bit longer than this knife, but it's also in the thicker stock. And why I think this one made the list in my top 10 is I knew a Medford was going to be on the list because they're fantastic knives. They're easy to take apart. They're easy to maintain. This is a bearings knife that I upgraded to skiffs just the other day, and then carry it for a couple of days after that. Forgot how much I love this knife. The only drawback is I wish the pocket clip had a little bit stronger retention. But besides that, it goes in and out of the pocket fine. The lock bar is a breeze to unlock. It has got fantastic action, and it is an S90V blade. And I think S90V on a Medford is just about perfect for me. And again, it's small. It's dainty enough to be a gentleman's folder, but it's hardy enough to be a hard use knife, a Slurpee saver, a feather sticker, a fire starter, a breacher if you needed it to be. So that is the Medford Slimity, made in America, the last American made knife on this particular list, coming in at number 5, which brings us to number 4. Number 4 is a knife that is new to the collection, but it's a knife that's gotten a lot of time in my pocket. And I have a feeling if we were going to do this, say, middle of the winter, this knife could move lower. It could move higher. I don't think it's going to move out of the top 10. It's everything I love about Kunwu. It's a frame lock. I'm not a fan of their bar locks, even though I have 2. I love the stonewash finish. I love the way I came across this knife on NAF sale. A gentleman had bought 2. He bought a satin and a stonewashed, opened the satin, fell in love with it, and decided to sell the stonewash before he even opened it. I'm convinced if he'd opened the stonewash first, just because he didn't have the satin open, this knife's so good that he probably would have sold the satin because this knife is that good. It should be higher than number 4 on this list, but it is Vanex super clean steel. It has absolutely fly out detent. It's got the thinnest, sliciest blade. That Vanex is super, super sharp, tumbled and stone washed. You've got the diamond pattern on the handle, titanium. You've got this really nice clip, goes in and out of pocket well. Fantastic jimping, and just an absolute joy of a knife. This is the Wu Padre. It's their most recent release, and it is going to make the list, guys, at number 4. My top 10 current knives that make me happy, that I'm in love with. So moving on, and these last 3 got tough, guys, because these are all interchangeable. But coming in at number 3 is the Liang Field Duty Folder. It has not yet unseated the Liang Field Duty EDC, but I can tell you it's not far behind it. It carries like a dream. I love the size. I love the fact that it's a full-size knife. I think it's got some of the most beautiful carbon fiber handles I've seen on any knife. The internal liner lock is amazing. The detent is amazing. You can flip it from absolutely anywhere. And once you get it started, it's coming out. There's no failing this knife. I cannot shake this knife open, which was a problem in the first generation from what I understand. It does have a reversible clip here that mounts on the top. The clip goes in and out of pocket very well. This particular version has this wire tumbled titanium on the bolster, S90V blade that is hand satin or belt satin, super, super, super sharp. And again, of S90V. Guys, this knife is refined. This knife is comfortable. This knife is elegant. This knife is a knife that I love carrying. I love using it, and I'm a huge fan. I'm a huge fan of almost everything Liang makes. Some of his knives don't appeal to me, and he and I have talked about that. But that's the way any designer is going to be. They have different likes, different things that they're going to push, and not everybody is going to feel the same way about those designs. But I can tell you with the field duty, the cuff, and the field duty EDC, he definitely wrote it in my language. But this is the field duty folder. This is the mid-size that came out between the EDC and the 3.0. It is 3.5-inch blade, fits my hand perfectly, and it's just an absolute beautiful knife. Coming in at number 3, that's the Liang Ma field duty folder. Coming in at number 2 is the newest knife to come into my collection, and newest as in it came in today. The reason I can give this knife a little bit more than just one day's worth of opinion is I reviewed this knife, a different variation of micarta and a micarta and stonewash that my buddy A to Z EDC let me borrow to bring in. I carried it for a little bit less than a week, but I instantly realized that I'd made a mistake by not getting one. I fell in love with the knife. I fell in love with not only the hollow grind, but the sculpting on the handles, the bolster lock, the deep hollow grind with this little point, and this swedge at the top of the blade that comes right where that poon starts, the stone washing in the fuller, and these thumb triangles, which work fantastically well, even though I'm not a thumb flicker. I can flick off of those, or I can just go straight to the fuller. But guys, this knife really, really makes me smile. It is something else. It is carbon fiber. It is M390. It is designed by Null Knives, manufactured by Riot. After I carried A to Z's, these were long sold out. I could not find one. I found a company over in Germany that had some in stock. I was trying to convert euros, trying to figure out how to do it. I heard they ship pretty quickly, so I wasn't thinking I was going to be waiting for it forever. Well, about that time, a good friend of the community and a good friend of mine, who will remain nameless unless he chooses to speak up, said, Javon, I've got a voodoo. I'd be willing to let it go. And I was like, you're kidding me. He's like, no, it's not all that to me. I can tell you like it. Gave me a really fair price on it. And I said, dude, let's do it. And I am not only blown away by the knife, but I'm blown away by and I said this wasn't going to come into my decision making, and it's not. But I was blown away by the way I came into possession of this knife. It was a true do something kind for somebody. I know that this guy didn't need to sell the knife. I know that he loved the knife. He's got some of the coolest knives on the gram. I'm convinced he did it because he's a nice guy and he knew I wanted one. But neither here nor there. I love him to death. He knows that. And this is the Null Knives Voodoo, manufactured by Riot. And as of today, it is number 2. It's not even going on the table. It's going back in my pocket. which brings us to number 1. And this should not be a surprise for any of you that have followed the channel or know me. This knife was my first grill knife. It was a knife that Lefty EDC made me see the light of when he was talking about it. He doesn't have one in his collection anymore. They're long out of his memory. But this is the Liang Field Duty EDC in LMAX. This is the little brother of the Field Duty EDC, and then the Field Duty 3.0 is bigger than this one. But the Field Duty EDC has remained at the top of my list ever since I got it, because it fits my hand perfectly. It's a small to medium sized knife. I love that I selected the G10 unibody construction, which is just monoblock. It just means that everything's cut out of this one block of G10 and then it's joined with the titanium, but it keeps the weight down on the knife. The frame lock in action is amazing. It has some of the best detent of any knife I've ever felt. The deployment hole fits my hand perfectly to where I cannot get it from a bad position. And then the grip with the choil, with the jimping, fits my hand perfect for almost any kind of cut. This knife, guys, in LMAX is my number 1. I'm waiting and continue buying knives and continue carrying knives and know that something's going to take its place. This will never drop out of the top 5. I'm convinced this knife, every now and then you find a perfect knife for you. It might not be perfect for anybody else, but this is really close to perfect for me. And I'll tell you a secret. This is becoming very close to perfect for me. It's not much bigger, and it gives me a little bit more purchase and gives me the same ergos, but I love the fact that it's satin. I love the fact that it's S90V, and I just absolutely love the knife. Guys, I could do this video again in, we'll say 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Very possible I'm going to have the exact same knives. But I assure you, if we do this down the road, say in a month, they're going to have changed around. I mean, I keep up with these videos to what I've included because I'm also surprised by the way my carry patterns, my affection for certain knives changes over other knives. But yeah, guys, absolutely, absolutely love it. So you've got number 1, number 2, number 3, if I can remember, number 4, number 5, number 6, number 7, number 8, number 9, and number 10, guys. That is today's top 10, my top favorites. Is that going to change? Probably. Will it change by tomorrow? Probably not. But guys, thank you for watching the video. If you're so inclined and you're over on Instagram, feel free to find me over there. DM me, let me know you connected with me so I can follow you back. JEvans_KnifeAddict_life, same handle as here, and it's the same type of content. Knife, pocket dumps, stills, some reels, things like that. But guys, everybody have a fantastic week. I love you all. I hope you find videos like this somehow entertaining. If not, let me know what you want to see. I'll try to make videos that you guys would like to see. Thank you again. Thank you to the channel members. Thank you to anyone taking the time out of their day to view my content. I love you all. All I ask is that you please look out for the guy or gal to your left. Please look out for that guy or gal to your right. Please look out for each other. Go forward with love in your heart. Choose debate, not hate. I love you all. Peace.